communication, leveraging the ball, playing downhill. After practice, USC's defensive coordinator, Antonlynn, he was talking about a specific position group. Marvin and I are going to tell you who he was talking about coming up.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thanks again for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. We've got MVP3 Marvin Powell III back with us again. Whether you are watching this show on YouTube, wherever you want to listen to this podcast, download it to any platform you choose. This show's free. This show's always going to appreciate your support. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers, if you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, guess what? You're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the entire FanDuel app. Download the app today. All right. If you said linebackers, give yourself a cookie because you're right. Coach Lynn was asked after practice this week, what's been the focus for the linebackers? And his answer was very clear, concise, to the point. Communication, leveraging the ball, playing downhill. In other words, he was saying, make sure your teammate knows the play call and is lined up correctly. That's part of the communication process. Make sure you're using the correct technique with your tackle angle. A lot of this depends on the actual situation, depending on down, distance, etc. And then obviously playing downhill simply means play smart, with your decision making, play aggressive, play fast. MVP, you played a little football in your lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm, a little bit.
Explain in more detail what Coach Lynn is actually talking about when he, brings up those three things: communication, leveraging the ball. Mm-hmm. What was the third one? Oh, playing downhill.
Right. Yeah. I mean, really, what it comes down to is just playing assignment football and just knowing where you're supposed to be. Defensively, these guys have to talk because the offenses are shifting, they're motioning. They're picking up signals and things from the offense, so they want to stay in constant communication. It's really important. Playing downhill means just attacking in the right lanes, and that's where we got messed up in this Notre Dame. Just out of position, and that's where you're seeing the running back just cut back, and it's like wide open. We don't have our guys aren't containing and aren't controlling the backfield the way they should. They're not in the right position, which really is unacceptable when you think about it, considering where we are in the season, considering this the second year of this defense, and we've had our players, the offseason camp throughout the first couple games. So to see these guys who are returners from our linebacker core, Stevens and Gentry, for him to talk about, just being out of position, that speaks to the coaching because, again, you're either teaching it or you're allowing it, all right, especially if it's happening over and over again. And, we've had those issues. So, yeah, he's talking about, just playing simple assignment football, knowing where you're supposed to be at, and playing downhill means attacking, seeing the ball, reading your keys, but attacking and filling that gap. And we're going to have to do that this week.
So, leveraging the ball. And again, this is all situational, depends on down and distance, your alignment, who you're covering, all that kind of stuff. Where does that go wrong during the game? I mean, it seems pretty rudimentary,
Yeah.
Two.
A lot of football comes down to awareness. I mean, just understanding where you are in the field, just where you are in regards to alignment, where their offensive strengths are, where can you be attacked from, and just knowing just having that awareness to know. That comes with reps. That comes with great coaching as well. But that comes with reps. And these are things that you have to be able to identify and see in practice and feel in practice. And in practice, these guys, you're going up against a scout team offense, which is mimicking the offense for the other team. So you should know where this is. You should know what your keys are. You should know, where can I be attacked from? You should know who can block me from a blocking perspective, from the offense, tackle or defensive, tight end. If you're defensive end, I mean, you should be lined up in a way where they can't just hook you, when the ball snap, so again, just having awareness and just understanding, football, having a certain football IQ is everything. And that's why you want to have not just tough guys, but smart guys. It goes together. It's hand in hand, and it's being able to be tough and be smart, when the offense is moving fast, when they're not huddling, when you don't have time to look and get extra keys from people on your team. You have to know what you're doing in that moment. And that's tough, in those game reps, those pressure situations where it's happening really fast, that takes experience for a lot of these guys, man. And, but again, I mean, there are just basics in regards to how we're fitting, as you're saying, not being smart and being out leveraged, letting people break contain. These are things that you practice, that you coach, that you teach. So for as much as those players on the field need to know what they're doing, again, I go back to our all-star defensive coaching staff, which we celebrated all off season, coming off of a bye week, okay? And, we're playing a team that we played last year. So a coach we played last year, a quarterback we played against last year. So we should be familiar to a degree, okay? And I'm expecting, Dan to live up to what he's saying and have these small things that create big plays for on their other team's offense, get those things corrected, because it's basic fundamentals where we're getting hurt, as well as being soft in the middle.
Yeah, it's really hard to believe that a place like USC, which it's kind of struggled in the last, 5, 6, 7 years at that position. I mean, USC is an NFL football factory. I mean, it's at one time it was called the #1 NFL football factory. If you've seen the video on YouTube, a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. One of the show's everydayers threw up a comment on the YouTube channel here at Locked On USC. And at first I was like, no freaking way. This is not possible. HR Pick and Stuff, I think. Pick and Stuff is the poster. But we put it up there. I looked it up, and it turned out it's true. Marvin, can you believe that the last USC linebacker to get drafted was 2019? And that was Keith Smith, and that was a 5th-round draft.
Right.
During that same time span, Georgia, in the last 5 years, has had 10 linebackers drafted, 3 in the first round, 4 day 1 selections, and most of them were all selected before the 4th round. What in the wide world of, are you freaking kidding me? Is this even possible at USC?
Yeah, that's really disheartening. I mean, when you think about USC's football tradition, the reality is our greatest players, we have more great players on defense than we do offense, even with 8 Heismans, even with, multiple quarterbacks who've gone #1, even with some of the greatest
offensive line like your dad.
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is we can be considered linebacker U if you look at, our entire history of linebacker. I mean, when I was at SC, I played with one of the greatest linebackers in the history of our school, and Chris Claiborne. Chris was the real deal, man. Chris got me ready every single week for our upcoming game. Played with Sammy Knight, who was moved to linebacker his senior year. Great player. Zeke Marino, another guy, was a great player at USC for us. Got me ready every week in run drill. So, just from my time at SC, I was around some great players at the linebacker position. And prior to me, we're talking about Junior Seau, Richard Wood, Clay Matthews. Matthews. So, we go on. Yeah, Keith, so, so many guys, man. And it's unfortunate that in the last few years, we haven't been able to recruit that talent or develop that talent. That's really, again, for USC, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. And you understand why we've been down. Because, linebacker, that's a key component on that defense. And if you don't have those guys, those studs, it's tough, man. So we got to figure that out because, again, our defensive tradition is rich, full of great players, some of the greatest players to ever play in college football. And it's unfortunate, that we've been down the last 6-7 years there.
Yeah, like I said, I saw that and I was like, no way is that true. And then I went and I did a little bit of research. I was like, whoa, it's true. I get it. These last 3, 4, 5 recruiting cycles, USC has missed out on the top linebacker out of Southern California for one reason or another. Whether they pan out, whether they go other places, whatever the situation may be. Right.
Well, listen,
like you said, it's unacceptable.
And let's give credit where credit's due because Lincoln absolutely has addressed that in this next recruiting class. Sean Scott, Ely. Yeah, I mean, we got some dogs coming in. We got some verified dogs coming in. We beat the schools you just mentioned, the Georgias and some of those other schools in the SEC who've had a lot of success recently. We're getting those kids. We're getting those kids who had the chance to go there, but they're choosing us. So again, there is reason to be optimistic. There is reason to feel good about this. You can't talk about having a real program or being competitive if you don't have players. That's number one. It's obvious that we have not had an elite recruiting class in a long time. That's changing, and that's one of the many things that that I've seen that made me feel good about our program moving forward.
Yeah, and there's also and I apologize because I can't remember the name off the top of my head. There's an under the radar linebacker coming in with this class out there in the Inland Empire. Jonathan. Oh gosh, while I'm filibustering here, I'm going to look it up.
Slim linebacker, right?
He's a true middle linebacker.
Okay.
So
I think I know you're referring to.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and look this up here real quickly while.
I think he was a hidden gem. I think that's how I heard him advertised as a hidden gem. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he's and I think Henny recruited him, correct?
Let me find out exactly who. Okay, here. Give me 1 second. 2020s. Of course, they give me the 2025. It's not the one I want. I want 2026. There we go. There we go. Everybody's laughing because they're waiting. I apologize. But we're going to get this name for you because this is someone I think, again, he's a true middle linebacker under the radar. And I've seen his highlights. He plays with an edge. You brought up the name Sean Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I am talking about Taylor Johnson. I apologize for that, Taylor. Cajon High School, San Bernardino, California. So I had the Inland Empire correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've watched him play. And I think this young man is also going to play with a lot of passion and emotion. He's suffered some loss in his life recently, family. So a lot of times when you have that North Star, you kind of bring that edge a little bit more too, because you're not just playing for yourself, you're playing for the memory of somebody you know and somebody you love. So we'll get into that more down the road when he's actually on campus. But yeah, to your point, after I wasted a couple minutes here, USC is recruiting at linebacker. They also brought in this most recent class, 2025, AJ Tuatelli, the young man from Las Vegas, Matai Tagoai from San Clemente, California. So they are trying to build up the depth. It's young right now.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, in the next segment, we're going to stay on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to talk about defensive rotations. Coach Lynn might have dropped a clue, might have dropped a hint after practice this week. We're going to talk about that coming up next. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to kind of ride that hot hand, guess what? FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next point to the fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a huge payout. It keeps everything exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a chance to win $300 in bonus bets, and all you got to do is bet $5 and win. It's that simple. So head on over to FanDuel.com, sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So again, apologies to Taylor Johnson. I should never forget your name. Anyways, Marvin, I'm going to ask you, this is kind of a lead-in. Did Coach Lynn drop a hint? He was asked if during the bye week, if any of the young players on defense kind of made a move as far as earning more playing time this week.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of coy with his answer. He says, we'll see on Saturday. We'll see. But it was kind of that, that I ate the Cheshire smile from the cat.
Right.
Type of thing.
Right.
So he did mention the names D. Reddick and Gus Cordova and Jaden Ramos. Those are three freshmen that came in in the 2025 class. He said those guys caught his attention. Now, Gus and Jaden, they're true freshmen. They play defensive end. I don't see them playing ahead of Anthony Lucas, Braylon Shelby, or Cam Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
What Lynn, so he didn't go into whether or not non-starters or young players would see more time on Saturday. However, he did say this. Jaden Walker, he didn't say it. Jaden Walker said this after practice, that his reps have increased a lot during the bye week. Plays linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Against Notre Dame, he had 22 snaps at linebacker. Eric Gentry, 71. Desmond Stevens, 62. How hard, I'm asking you, this is a question for you. How hard is it to break into the rotation at this point of the season unless injuries kind of force the issue, or, we're going into now game number 8 where the defensive staff says, hey, we've got to make a change.
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
Well, I mean, listen, the reality is these coaches are using the early games and those non-conference games, really just they're evaluating. They're still trying to figure out what they have, because you go, especially with the new players, because at the end of the day, you don't know what a kid is until you put them out there. You want to see them in practice. You want them to show it to you in practice, and that's how it has to happen. And if you're not the starter, then you have to try to earn some reps. A lot of times you try doing on special teams, but guys get hurt and things just happen, and But at this point, in the season, the coaches have an idea. They know who they want, and you think, well, we're already halfway past the season, but it's a long season. So much football to play, a lot to play for. A lot of new guys. You're putting new guys in new positions. Getting guys reps, and it is a development process for guys. It's mental, it's psychological. It really is. And you want to see at this point who's seasoned and who's ready as we get into the last 5 games are going to be the meat of our schedule at this point, because it's there. Every single one is a must win for our bigger plans. Additionally, I think we played a little bit of a 3 linebacker set last game, and the offense has to prepare for the defense. So Nebraska is preparing for a 42. They're preparing for a 43. You don't want to tip off your hand and say, well, that 3rd linebacker is going to play, because now they know that, they're coming out there with a 3 linebacker set, and that, will impact what they do with play action in the pass game with the tight end, whatever it may be. So being coy just means that there are some things that we're going to do that we haven't done a lot of that we think will be beneficial for us.
Yeah, I just know a lot of people have been frustrated with the production from the middle linebacker spot with Desmond Stevens.
Yeah,
it was a position change for him. He is not a natural linebacker. He was a safety in high school, so he's making that jump. He played the position last year. Everyone kind of assumed that he would just take that natural progression, going from a freshman to a sophomore, and just slide in and make the job, get the job done.
I tell you what, we made a lot of noise about Mr. Rob Ryan coming in here, our NFL linebacker coach with his 20 years experience, who I like. I thought it was a good hire, and I'm not out on Mr. Ryan, Coach Ryan at all. But I mean, listen, this is the difference. Coaching matters. And I'm hoping to see after this with this bye that Rob Ryan has coached up this kid, because this whole thing about him being a safety, I don't want to hear that. He's a ball player. He's the Mike linebacker for them Trojans. He knows what the standard is. Rob knows what the standard is. Dan knows what the standard is. And if they don't, they shouldn't be here. With that said, I have expectations that this kid should have some success against an offensive unit against Nebraska that isn't super impressive. This kid should play well this week. He should play well this week. So it's good,
I agree. And I think part of this is, he flashed as a freshman last year. He had that really nice athletic interception against Penn State.
Right.
It's like, oh man, USC's got their dude. And it just hasn't hasn't been a seamless transition.
It's different being the backup versus the starter. When you're the guy that rotates in there, the responsibility is much different, and the pressure is different as well. It's different when you're expected to go out there and lead as a starter versus, hey, we're going to put you in there for a couple plays. You go in there and do your thing, and try just get better. No, when you're the starter, there's an expectation, and there's one standard for what we're talking about when we say playoffs and championship and so on and so forth. And we've seen the standard at USC. We know what it is. We look around the country. We see other schools. We're very clear as to what the standard is. If you're talking about elite defense, and again, I'm betting and hoping that our all-star defensive staff has got these boys ready to go, because we need to look good against Nebraska.
Agreed.
Not just win, look good.
Here's the other thing I find really fascinating before we jump to the third segment and we talk about our keys to victory. Last year, and again during the spring and fall camp this year, Coach Lynn, he's always talked about wanting to use a heavy rotation in the secondary. Get 8, 10 guys in the game every game. Against Notre Dame, 5 guys played the entire game in the secondary. Marcellus Williams, Kamari Ramsey, DeCarlos Nicholson, Bishop Fitzgerald each played 71 snaps. That was the entire game. Mm-hmm. Christian Pierce came off the field a little bit when USC went to a true 4-3. He only played 45 snaps. Mm-hmm. How unique is that, Marvin, to only run with 5 guys in the secondary for an entire game?
Well, it tells you one of two things: either guys are hurt or guys ain't ready. And
I think it's the latter.
Yeah, I know. We've dealt with some injury. I know we lost. I don't know how DJ is, but if guys aren't ready, does that speak to us not getting the right guys? Does that speak to us not being able to develop these guys and get them in there? Because I'm looking across the country and I see freshmen playing. I see young guys playing. It's 5 guys rotation is uncommon without question. And it wasn't like those guys, I'm not gonna say they didn't play good, because I think DeCarlos actually played okay against Notre Dame, but we don't have the depth that I think we thought we had. And going into the season, the secondary and the D line were the 2 areas I felt so high on. I was so big on, just based on, again, everything that I'm reading and I'm hearing and I'm seeing, what the coaches are saying, and it made sense. But no, we don't have enough guys ready to go. Hopefully that changes, because I know we have, I know there's a freshman I'm waiting to see get out there and get some burn. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Hopefully this bye week, these guys were able to get some reps in practice, and we'll see some guys get out there. But Danton's being quiz, you said. So Saturday night, 7:30, all of us are going to see, what the big surprise was and what's going on.
Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many guys they run with, because, and I bring this up only because Nebraska has at least 5 guys on their roster with 23 or more receptions. Mm-hmm. So they spread the ball around. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Dylan Raiola likes to do, good or bad, is he likes to hold on to the ball as long as possible, keeps his eyes on the field. He's waiting for guys to get open. So USC's cornerbacks, safeties, secondary, they're going to have to play sticky all night, because they're probably going to be in pass coverage for at least, unless USC's, getting to the quarterback, more than 3 Mississippis. And that's a long time to play pass coverage when you're running around for 3.5, 4 seconds. So we'll see how that goes. All right, one more segment to go. Marvin and I are going to tell you our keys to victory this Saturday night in Lincoln, Nebraska. And that's coming up next. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, and that's because Mazda has more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else in the industry, and that's as of August 2025. So they're still holding that trophy right now. You can literally feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery, and with all-wheel drive standard in every single crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence throughout almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Okay, MVP, these are my 3 keys to victory. Number 1, first and foremost, because this is, in my opinion, what killed USC against Notre Dame. Do not give up a special teams touchdown. Not on kickoff return, not on punt return. And Nebraska has done that this year on both sides, punt and kickoff. Second, this cannot happen. USC has to be able, well, this actually has to happen for USC. They have to run the ball for at least 150 yards, because Lincoln Riley's offense needs to be balanced in order for it to work. This is why earlier in the week I said he has to cook in Lincoln, Nebraska. And then thirdly, and I brought it up at the end of the second segment, the Trojans' defensive line, they have to dominate in the trenches. They have to create pressure. They've got to get Dylan Raiola off his spot. They got to bring him down to the ground. You cannot let him just sit back there and wait for a wide receiver to come open. Otherwise, it's going to be a long night. What are your three keys? If USC does those three things, I think they're leaving with a big victory.
So, number one, our run game has to get off without question. You know, we love what our tight end game has been this year. We love what's happening with Mekhi. You know, Jacoby, when he's been in there, has been effective for the most part. And, you know, all that's based off that run game. You know, against Notre Dame, I mean, we got stuffed, you know, and we were still able to make some plays in the pass game. But we weren't clicking, we weren't rolling because we weren't doing it off the run game. We need to see King Miller do what he does, and that's be a home run hitter. So I'm expecting him to have some runs. I'm expecting him to get back into form. The run game is one. Number two, Raiola's been sacked 26 times this year. All right. So to your point about the defensive line, we have to get after his butt. If we don't listen, we need to come out of this game with 3-4 sacks minimum. Okay, we and that's not including the pressures that we should have on him.
Right.
At all. And then from there, again, you know, we haven't been great in the middle. We were talking about the Mike linebacker. I know last week we were talking about the guys, the two defensive tackles in the middle, or the transfers at least. And the reality is their running back is averaging almost 6 yards a carry. Their lead back, 5.7 to be exact.
Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, he can't come out this game averaging 7 yards a carry. Okay, that's what it comes down to. So defensively, we have to get after the quarterback. We have to stop the run. We have to be able to run the ball. I have no concerns about if we're going to be able to pass it. Are they going to be able to scheme Mekhi open, Jacoby making crazy plays? We have to be able to run the ball, then run our play action game to our tight ends, and then let Mekhi and Jacoby do what they do. We have to attack this game. This Nebraska team, in the last show I was on with you, I likened them to Michigan. I was off. They're nowhere as good as Michigan. But that doesn't even matter because regardless of who it is, we're not playing on paper. This is real. This is, you know, Matt Rule at his press conference recently was talking to the fans and telling them they have to show up and show out and how important this is. I mean, they're expecting this game to be loud. They're talking about, you know, breaking records with sound and all this stuff is what I'm hearing. So this is going to be a real environment. This is going to be a tough game. It doesn't matter who they played and how they look against competition. How they play against us is all that matters. And they're going to play hard. They're going to come out there and play hard against us. This is a must win for both teams. You know, Nebraska really has one foot out the race, but with the loss, I mean, they're playing for, you know, a bowl game. USC at this point, you know, it's technically a long shot, but we still have an opportunity to control our destiny. So we need to not just win this game. We need to look good against a team that isn't that great. They're 6-2, and I gave that record a little too much love last show. It's a soft 6-2. You can say the same about us, minus Michigan, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm certain that we have the higher caliber athletes where it matters. And for a team like Nebraska, who's given up the run, can't stop the run, I mean, we need to take advantage of that. So, again, I'm expecting heavy run game and then Lincoln to do his thing with the play action off of that.
Yeah. And here it is. Much easier said than done. But if USC shows up in Lincoln, Nebraska with the same energy that they played with at home against Michigan, yes, I don't think that Nebraska can stay with USC offensively. I mean, I know it's not an identity, but USC does have, like, I believe the #1 offense in the country right now. I don't know if Nebraska can keep up if USC's offense is balanced and doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then the defense all of a sudden now can play more loose. You know, do those things that we were talking about earlier on the show.
Right.
So, yeah, those are my keys. I agree with everything you said as well. Get after the quarterback, make his life miserable. And you talked about their running back, Emmett Johnson. USC's coaches, both Lincoln Riley and Antonlynn, said the same thing. You gotta bring him to the ground. You cannot let him get yards after contact, and that's something he does a lot. Whether it's actual contact or whether it's making guys miss in the open field, he's getting yards after he has the ball in his hand. And
Right.
I do not want a repeat performance what we saw against Notre Dame. You cannot let that happen with Nebraska, because then that loud crowd, they'll be into it. USC on the field, they'll hear it, they'll feel it, and all of a sudden they're in a dogfight. Can't happen.
No. So,
all right, that's it. What do you have a score prediction?
Score prediction. Listen, it blows my mind that people talk about how bad USC is on the road. Yet we're favored to go to Nebraska, which says a lot more about Nebraska than anything else. I expect this game to get away, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna say USC 42, Nebraska 25.
Okay. I earlier in the week I said I had USC 37, Nebraska 30. I'm going to stay in that same ballpark. I'm going to still say USC will score anywhere from 37 to 40. Nebraska will get 24.
Yeah,
or 27, somewhere in there.
I mean, the game isn't played on paper, but when you just look at it objectively and you look at Nebraska and you look at who they've played and how they played. I mean, they played Nebraska to a 3-point game. They lost to Oklahoma by, I think, 12. But they're not that great, and we should win this game. And I'm expecting to win this game and look good. We need to.
Yes, I agree. USC needs to look good on the road, because if they look good on the road, I think they'll finally believe. I know they believe in themselves, but I think everybody else will start believing in them, because, like you said, the stretch run. You've got Northwestern Friday night after this game, followed up by Iowa Saturday at the Coliseum the week after that. You got that big game on the road at Eugene. If you're winning in Lincoln, now you're thinking, you know what? We can go win in Eugene. We can make that happen.
Right.
And you come home and you got that rivalry game, the crosstown showdown against that school on the other side of town. So everything's in front of USC to make it happen. They just have to get the job done. Again, much easier said than done, but step one, Nebraska. And that will, kind of, Coach Riley said it, the toughest thing when you're trying to, make that ascent is beating, a ranked team on the road. Whether or not Nebraska is a ranked team, they are a legitimate. I know you said it's a soft 6-2. They've won 6 games. You're going into a tough environment regardless.
Yeah. Listen, their backs to the wall. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter how they played against somebody else or Northwestern ran the ball. That's irrelevant. Their back is to the wall. They're at home. It's a night game. It's their featured game on NBC prime time. They know what time it is. So this is going to be real. I expect them to come out and to make plays and do their thing. But as the game goes on, we should wear them down. Absolutely
agreed. So hopefully USC will be 6-2 after the weekend coming home. You got two home games in a row. USC should move up in the rankings. Oh, and by the way, the first playoff poll comes out this Tuesday, or Tuesday next week, I should say. So we'll see where USC falls in line there. All right, I will be back with another episode tomorrow. I'll have my Friday rant to end the show. I believe Kendall Hollowell will be joining as well. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.
Fight on.
There you go.